Welcome to Out of the Box from Hudson County Community College. Each month, we will bring you timely discussions about education, people, programs, events, issues, and solutions that affect the education and enrichment of the people of Hudson County. I'm Christopher Manos, your moderator for these podcasts. Joining us today for a discussion about Hudson County Community College's Peer Leaders program are Hudson County Community College President, Dr. Chris Reber.
Hi, Chris.
And Hudson County Community College peer leaders and students, Coral Booth.
Hello. Hi, Chris. Hi, Dr. Reber.
Hi.
And Brian Rebus.
Hello, Chris. Hi, Dr. Reber.
Welcome and thank you all for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Reber, can you tell us a little bit about the Peer Leader program at Hudson County Community College?
I'd be happy to, and then I'm also going to ask our students to talk about it. This is a program that is a lot of work for our students. So for students who are very successful and who have had a really great experience here and students that enjoy helping others, we've developed this opportunity for them to actually be paraprofessionals while they're completing their studies. So they're talking to new students, prospective students, giving tours, helping solve problems. They are a resource, a rich resource for students and families that are considering attending here because they can speak from their own experience and can empathize with the kinds of issues and concerns and questions that prospective students have. It's a very competitive program. They are paid for the work, not enough because it's a lot of work and hard work. They go through a pretty intensive training program. And I will tell you, I've mentioned often how inspired I am by our students, just generally speaking, but our peer leaders are just among the most inspiring. It's a group of students that develop a real esprit de corps. They get to know each other like family. They bring all kinds of different life experiences to the role, and they make a difference in other people's lives. Mm-hmm. And if I could, I'd like to, and I've gotten to know Coral and Brian just a bit, I'd like to ask each of you, if you would, we want to talk about your role as peer leaders, but first, can you share with us how you got to Hudson County Community College, just a little about what your experience has been like and where you see yourself going, and then maybe we can come back and talk about the peer leader part of your experience.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I have 4 children at home. I'm a mom of 4 boys, ages 18, 6, 11, and 12. And I was waiting for them to go back to school and get acclimated before I decided to come back. So once my 6-year-old started school, it was the perfect time. I initially came back because they wanted to start YouTube channels and do their own thing. So I said, I'll go back and take the communications end of it. Why pay someone when I can learn how to do it myself? So I came back. Hudson County didn't offer the program that I had, but they said you can take English. It'll get all of your major courses out of the way, the English, the math, and then you can transfer. So that's exactly what I did, and I ended up falling in love again with writing and reading, which I initially was writing poetry and short stories, and coming back to Hudson County, it just ignited that love again. And that's how I got here.
And when I just started to get to know Coral, she actually agreed to go with me to Trenton to a hearing related to funding for higher education. So when I met her in the lobby, I thought, this can't be Coral. She can't have 4 kids, including an 18-year-old. But you also shared with me that your parents made a significant impact.
Yes. Family has always been really important to me and my mom, my dad. It was instilled into us. I have 7 siblings, well, 5 from my mom, and then I have 2 from my dad. So it's a bunch of us all together. And when I initially thought about going back to school, they were my biggest advocates. They were like, go do it. My dad even thought about going back himself. My first year here, 2nd semester in the spring, I lost my mom to cervical cancer. And it was a really tough time, but I only ended up missing 1 class because the professors and the other students, they were so supportive. And at that time, I was in a creative writing class, so it gave me an outlet to really express myself and deal with my pain in a different way. And then we ended up doing everything for her. And then in spring this semester, well, this past year, I lost my dad to heart disease. And being that he always thought about coming back to college and he was such an encouragement and everything, quitting wasn't an option for me when I thought about the both of them. They were so encouraging and just there for me and just so supportive. I just couldn't see myself not finishing, because even though they weren't here physically, they were still here with me emotionally and mentally. And I knew that if nobody else did, they wanted to see me finish. So that's where I'm here today. One more year left. I'm almost done, and I'm so excited. I know they'll be there with me at graduation.
And you shared with me that when you first came here, now think about this. She's raising 4 boys. She is taking care of her parents. She has a huge extended family. You were working, I think, part-time?
Yes.
She's coming back to school with all of those other life issues. And I think you shared with me, your initial thoughts were, okay, I'll spend the minimal amount of time I have to. I'll come to campus, I'll go to class, and then I'll go back home, right?
Yes.
And what changed?
The moment that changed was I got an invitation to join the National Society for Leadership and Success, which is not an honor society, but it's a leadership society. So it gives you the back end of the honor society, the leadership skills you need to gain, extensive training, different levels of certification. And like Dr. Reber said, my initial thing was I'm coming to class, I'm gonna get good grades, and I'm gonna go home. Once I accepted that invitation and I joined, my whole experience at Hudson changed. It was a great experience before. The professors were amazing, so supportive, encouraging. They were always there to make sure that you understood what was expected of you, and they just supported everything that you did. But once I got that invitation and I accepted it, I started to get involved in almost everything. It was a stepping stone to what I consider now the best experience of my life. Outside of my children and family and everything, this ranks right up there. It totally changed my experience at Hudson.
Fantastic. And Brian, you speak 3 languages. You speak English, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Yes.
And I know that you grew up here and then moved away and came back. Tell us a little bit about your story, how you ultimately got to Hudson County Community College, and where you see yourself headed.
Yeah, sure. Going back, so I am natural from New Jersey. Lived here in New Jersey up to 9 years old, and I've moved to Brazil, where my family is originally from. And I have spent 10 years there, and in 2015, I returned to New Jersey in my last year of high school, and my plan was to go to high school, and after that, go to a university, although I was not familiar with the education system because I have spent so many years abroad, so I had to get myself familiarized with the system. It was very challenging. I felt very lonely in the process, but what drove me is that I really wanted to pursue higher education, and also I am the first in my family to be going to college. So how I ended up in Hudson was my first semester I went to Montclair State University, and after that I decided that I had to, the geographic was an issue for me. I felt that I was going too much out of my way, and what I knew about Hudson, first of all, what brought me to Hudson was the geographical location, and it was very accessible to me, very flexible. And my initial plan was to come to Hudson, get my gen eds out of the way, and then go back to Montclair State. But then once I became a student at Hudson, I started to experience Hudson. My perspective changed. My confidence in being a Hudson County Community College student has changed as well in a very positive way. And that has brought me to the conclusion that I want to graduate from Hudson.
So meanwhile, you were planning to basically come here, take classes, sound familiar, and then leave. You got engaged in the campus community. You're now in Phi Theta Kappa, which is our premier honor society. You were involved in all kinds of things. I think you're working also at UPS, if I'm remembering correctly.
So I got involved in Phi Theta Kappa in my second semester here at Hudson. And first of all, when I got involved in Phi Theta Kappa, I did not have a clue of what Phi Theta Kappa is, but it is a honor society that supports two-year college students, and so academically. So and also Phi Theta Kappa, you have the opportunity to engage in your community through community service. So for example, Beta Alpha Phi, which is the chapter here at Hudson, we do a lot of community service throughout our community. We do cleaning at Liberty State Park. We do shoreline cleanup in Bayonne. We volunteer at the clothes drive at the Garden State Homeless Shelter here in Jersey City. And we also are able to attend conferences where we meet with other chapters of Phi Theta Kappa throughout the country.
We attended a conference together in Orlando.
Yes, we did. It was amazing.
Both of these students are not only doing well here, they're exceeding here. And we'll talk a little more about that. But with that background, can you tell us more about your role as a peer leader and how what you've learned is useful to you in helping other students?
NSLS, National Society for Leadership and Success, had a major part to play in that because it gave me the leadership skills I needed to step to the forefront. I was telling Dr. Reber, I am naturally an introvert, so I don't like being in the spotlight. I'm not that person who likes all the attention on them, but that society has given me the skills I needed to be that leadership and step to the forefront and take that role, which has led me now. I went from being society events chair to now I'm the current president. I'm the vice president of Sigma Kappa Delta Honor Society. I am also a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I also am a writer for the Orator. I do so many things on campus, and I think that those societies, the leadership skills I gained, the social skills I've gained, have given me that stepping stone to be able to apply for the position of peer leader, because you're interacting with students all day, not just students, parents, faculty, and you have to learn how to deal with everybody on a different level. And those leadership skills, the background, everything that we learned from those honor societies, I believe it gave us the background that we needed, everything that we needed to succeed as a peer leader.
So you were telling me just recently, maybe a day or two ago,
yes,
you encountered a prospective student. Can you share that experience?
It was during peak registration. We had a student come in, and during peak registration, as you know, it's so crowded. Ton of students everywhere. So the kiosks at enrollment were filled up, so there were laptops set up in the conference room. So there was a student that came in, one of the other peer leaders, Tyler, brought her in to me because she was a non-traditional student, and he knows that I was starting a club for non-traditional students, so he felt that me talking to her and engaging with her would be exactly what she needed. So we're filling out the application, and she says to me that she was just there because she wanted to fill it out, but she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to come to school. She had 3 kids at home. One was 6 months old, and during her story, she just started crying because she was a single mom. And I understood exactly where she was coming from. I felt it because I too am in that situation. So I just gave her some encouraging words. I told her, don't worry about it, you can do it. You're here taking the first step, and that's what's important. If you need anything, you have any questions, I told her where to find me, gave her my contact information, and she went through with the application. This past Friday, she came to the A building looking for me, and Tyler sent her up to student affairs where I was. And she came up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. And she told me that she just wanted to let me know that she came and she did her first class. And she was so excited, and she was like, thank you so much. I'm so happy I met you. You were everything that I needed to hear. I needed that. And just to have that impact on students, being in enrollment it's such an opportunity. You have different departments in the peer leader program, and you work in enrollment, you work in student activities, you work in CAS, and I think enrollment is one of the most important departments because it's the first department everybody comes to, because you have to fill out the application, you have to set the appointment to see the counselor, and just like they say, first impressions are lasting impressions. And if they come in and they meet a peer leader that's just as passionate about school as they are, and they can pass that passion on, that's something that they hold with them for those 2 years that they're there, those 3 years, however long it takes, and to know that they have that support system, especially the non-traditional students who feel so out of place when they're going back to college after 10. For me, it was over 20 years. And I realized that I didn't have that support. So to be able to be that support for another non-traditional student just gave me such joy. It's just unexplainable.
You could empathize with that student.
Definitely.
And that's what gave her the courage to go forward, because you've been so successful. And like Brian, the vast majority of our students are first-generation college students. This is a mystery to them and their families. They haven't been through the process. Can you talk a little about your experience, Brian?
Yes, Coral basically took the words I wanted to talk about, but I want to expand on the social aspect of being a peer leader. As I mentioned, how I felt lonely in getting adjusted to the educational system after being overseas for a long time. And for example, when I started out at Montclair State, I did not have, for example, a peer leader here, as we have here at Hudson, that would guide me through the process. So it's very vital to have someone guiding you, mentoring you through the steps, and also being very genuine about your success. So the social aspect of a peer leader is very critical because you're able to empathize with the student, as Coral mentioned, and you're able to assist and fulfill the needs of those who are interested in joining our community.
Can you tell us a little about the BOT project?
Yes. So the BOT project is a partnership between me and a colleague. His name is Ray Thompson. And it started out as a college project in our class, Intro to Operating Systems. So we had to build a bot and solve a solution. That was the main point of the project. And we thought about, when we started brainstorming about the project, we thought about why not solve something that it's, in our community. And that's when we thought about going for support services. How can we assist students in getting better access to support services in our college community? And our feedback was really great from our peers, our classmates in the room, and we thought about expanding it further outside the classroom, because it is an application that could be very beneficial for our community.
We're in the process of a year-long project to completely redesign our website and bring it up to state-of-the-art technology, but with a particular view to having the website give us a vehicle to have our students tell their stories. Because there's no more compelling reason to attend this institution than hearing from the experience of our students, and you two personify that. But Brian, where do you see yourself headed after Hudson County Community College?
I would, in mind, I would like to attend Stevens. It's a school that I look very forward to attend. I'm very passionate about their program in the field of computer science. So for now, I would see myself going to Stevens after Hudson.
And you're thinking about a cybersecurity internship?
Yes, also. I'm very enthusiastic about cybersecurity because so how I got to cybersecurity was through my initial interest in law enforcement. I was always interested in law enforcement as a kid, but then when I knew that I could combine technology and law enforcement together, then that's where I really found my niche.
And Coral, where are you headed next?
I am headed to St. Peter's. I spoke to Mary Mercado, who is the recruiter for St. Peter's, and I found out that with my GPA and my membership in Phi Theta Kappa, I can go for free.
Phenomenal. So both Brian and Coral are going to go on. Wouldn't surprise me if you wind up going to graduate school. You're going to have really wonderful careers, but you have brought so much to our community, and the work you're doing with students and prospective students is truly life-changing. Just the example that you just shared, and I know there are many, many more, that probably made the difference in that students deciding to go on and attend higher ed, or perhaps not, which, as we know, can be transformational.
Yes, I actually saw her today. She came into enrollment and made sure she saw me with her baby in the carrier on the front, and she was getting a book voucher, and she was like, oh my God, I just want to cry. And I'm like, no, don't cry. I told her about the services that the library has. I'm like, look, if you can't afford the books, you can always download the digital copy, or until you get your book voucher, the library lets you rent the books for 2 hours. You can go in there and scan them, make photocopies, do all of that stuff. That way you are able to still participate in class. And I told her the professors are very understanding. If you have to have the book, they'll let you know, but they understand that books are expensive, so they will give you time and they'll work with you.
So both of these students are excelling academically. They're both already earning scholarships to go on and continue their education. And in addition to everything you've heard, they're both fully engaged. You're doing other things too, right? Now, I happen to know Coral because I traveled to Trenton with her, and we've met with some other folks in the community together. She loves to cook, and every time I'm with her, she shares a recipe that sounds fantastic. And she, by the way, in her spare time, she's writing a book, right?
Yes. And I actually just started working on the play too, so it goes hand in hand. I'll work on the book, and then I'll get an idea, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to put that in the book. I think this will be good for a play. So I'll start working on the play, and I actually have my 12-year-old who loves to write and read also. He's working on a children's book based on my younger son, my 6-year-old. And now I have my oldest son who's in the LEAP program with Metz Charter School. He's actually attending classes here with me too in his senior year, so that's exciting. I get to embarrass him on campus.
Do you stay away from him a little bit? Or, yeah.
I try to push myself on him, and he tries to stay away from me.
Okay. And Brian, you've spoken with me about just, and it's a little maybe hard to describe, but how important the sense of community and family here is to student success. Can you elaborate on that at all?
Definitely. As I mentioned, why being a peer leader and having a peer leader program is so vital is because you have people that are genuinely interested in your success. So that is something that I see throughout our support services staff, career services, our advisors, people from enrollment, library, everywhere here at the college, you, Dr. Reber. So that is something that is very vital, this genuine interest in the success of those who you serve.
So would it be fair to say these two students are inspirational?
I would say so. Brian, if you could pick one word to describe the Peer Leader program at Hudson County Community College, what word would it be?
I would say empowering, because you're guiding someone that needs guidance to go through it can be a stressful process when you're first starting out college. And I would say empowering, such as Coral's story. She empowered the student to pursue higher ed, so empowering.
And how about you, Coral?
My one word would be family. As you know, the saying goes, family isn't always blood, and that really means something here. I've met people, friends in classrooms, fellow peer leaders who are inspirations to me, and I can call them and ask them for anything, and we've made that connection, that bond. Even with people from my first semester, I still talk to them from classes, and I just feel like we'll never lose that connection. I take them with me, and the bond is genuine.
Awesome.
Can I share my word?
Yes, of course.
And Coral mentioned it too. Inspirational.
Great. So the Hudson County Community College Peer Leader program is empowering, like family, and inspirational. Thank you, Dr. Reber, Coral, and Brian for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this session of Out of the Box. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends and family and visit our website at hccc.edu.